They called him a failure, a dropout, a lost cause. But they were about to learn that sometimes those who fall the farthest behind are destined to rise the highest. Welcome to Life Spark Narratives, the channel where real stories ignite real hope, courage, and a sense of purpose within us all. Today, we re-diving into the incredible journey of a young man who walked away from school but walked straight toward his destiny, becoming a powerful symbol of success and unwavering determination. Picture this: a classroom that feels more like a cage. For him, school wasn't a place of learning. It was a constant, deafening echo of failure. It's the low grades, the disappointed looks from teachers, the heavy weight of his parents' unmet expectations. It all screamed the same message: "You not good enough?" But the pressure was relentless. Every test felt like a verdict on his worth, and every report card was another nail in the coffin of his self-esteem. He tried, he really did, but the system just wasn't built for a mind like his. It didn't reward his curiosity, only his ability to memorize and regurgitate facts. It felt like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and the friction was wearing him down. One day he reached his breaking point. He stood up, and with a quiet resolve, he walked away. He walked away from the stuffy classrooms, from the judgmental whispers in the hallways, from the suffocating cloud of expectations that followed him everywhere. It wasn't an act of rebellion, it was an act of survival. As the school doors closed behind him, the gossip started. What a shame. He'll never amount to anything. He's just throwing his future away. They saw an ending. What they couldn't possibly imagine was that for him, this was the true beginning. His journey had just begun. The real world didn't roll out a red carpet. Life hit him, and it hit him hard. Without a diploma, his options were limited. He took whatever work he could find to make ends meet. He was a dishwasher, his hands raw from hot water and soap. He was a stock boy, his muscles aching from lifting heavy boxes in a warehouse. He was a delivery guy, walking miles to hand out flyers, his feet throbbing with every step. The work was grueling, thankless, and paid just enough to survive. Every night he'd return to his small, empty room, bone-tired and utterly alone. Would lie in bed, staring at the cracks in the ceiling, and a single haunting question would loop in his mind. Is this it? Is this all I'm meant for? The whispers of his past, the teachers, the classmates would creep back in, telling him they were right all along. Doubt was a constant, unwelcome companion. The loneliness was crushing, and the future looked like a long, dark tunnel with no light at the end. It was in this rock-bottom moment, surrounded by darkness, that a tiny spark was about to be ignited. One evening, while aimlessly scrolling online, trying to escape his own thoughts, he stumbled upon a quote. It wasn't anything fancy, just a simple line, but it struck him like a bolt of lightning. It read, "Education isn't about school, it's about the hunger to learn." Those words resonated deep within his soul. He read them again and again. A profound realization washed over him. He had mistaken the building for the lesson, the diploma for the knowledge. School wasn't the only source of education. The world was his classroom. He realized that true success isn't about the degrees you hang on the wall. It's about the discipline you build within yourself. That single thought changed everything. Fire was lit. He began to devour knowledge, not for grades, but for genuine growth. He spent his meager earnings on secondhand books about business, technology, and psychology. He became a regular at the local library, losing himself in the aisles. He spent his nights not in front of a TV, but in front of his computer, watching free tutorials on YouTube, taking online courses from top universities, and teaching himself how to code, one line at a time. His tiny room transformed from a place of despair into a laboratory of creation. He started building small projects, applying what he learned late into the night, fueled by cheap coffee and a newfound purpose. The path was anything but smooth. He failed, not once or twice, but dozens, maybe even hundreds of times. His code would break, his business ideas would fizzle out, his projects would hit dead ends. There were moments of intense frustration where he wanted to smash his computer and give up. The old voices of doubt would resurface, whispering, "See, you're still a failure." But something was different this time. He no longer saw failure as a final verdict. Instead, every failure became a lesson. Every bug in his code taught him about problem solving. Every rejected idea taught him about the market. Every setback became a stepping stone, forcing him to get smarter, stronger, and more resilient. He wasn't just learning a skill, he was forging a character of steel. Years went by, the nights of solitude and struggle slowly, almost imperceptibly, started to bear fruit. The small projects grew more complex. The scattered ideas started to connect, forming a coherent vision. He identified a common problem that people faced, a problem he knew he could solve with the skills he had painstakingly acquired. He poured all his energy, all his late nights, all his lessons from failure into creating a solution. And then, it happened. His idea blossomed into a business. It started small, with just a handful of users, but it was good. It was useful, solved a real problem. Word began to spread. The company grew, helping not just a few people, but thousands. It created jobs, made a tangible impact on the world. The young man who once washed dishes was now a CEO. The dropout who was told he'd amount to nothing was now an innovator. The irony was not lost on him. The same people who had once whispered about his failure, who had written him off as a lost cause, were now sharing his articles and listening to his interviews for a dose of inspiration. He had become the very thing they said he could never be. He had proved that your starting point in life doesn't determine your destination. What truly matters is your drive, how far you are willing to push yourself when no one else is watching. He learned firsthand that a relentless passion and a stubborn persistence will always outlast inherited privilege and societal expectations. Today, he stands as living, breathing proof of a powerful truth. You don't need a formal degree to make a difference. You don't need anyone's permission to pursue your dreams. All you truly need is a reason, a deep, personal, unshakable reason to keep going when everything and everyone is telling you to stop. So let his story be a message to you. Don't let anyone else define your worth. Don't let a grade, a job title, or someone else's opinion become the label you wear for life. If the world has branded you a failure, a misfit, or a dropout, your job isn't to argue with them. Your job is to prove them wrong, not with angry words, but with quiet, consistent, undeniable action. Your comeback is built in the work you do when no one is clapping. Thank you for watching Life Spark Narratives. If this story touched your heart and sparked something within you, please show your support by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video. You never know who might need to hear this message of hope the most. Remember, failure is never the end. It's simply the first chapter of your comeback story. Go write the rest of it.